See here, are we live? Are we live? No, we're not live yet. Hang tight. Where are we? Why are we not live yet? Hang on. Oh, I think we're live now. Hang on. Always got to double check. Oh, we are live. Beautiful. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. As promised, I have a special guest this morning. We're going to have a conversation, and feel free to rally your troops, tag your friends that are involved in the direct selling space, and have them join this conversation. So we're going to go for about 50 minutes this morning. I have the CEO of the Direct Selling Association, Dave Grimaldi, on with me. Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
Todd, I am great. Coming in live from the middle of Washington, D.C. It's an honor to be here.
You're just living and breathing in DC most of the time, aren't you?
It has been home my entire life. Right in Northwest D.C., about 5, 6 miles from the White House. It is come and visit to anyone watching. Come and dive in with us with what we're doing at DSA, but also it is center of the universe. It's a great town. It's a great town. I love every square inch of it. We get all 4 seasons, history, museums, monuments, people, all of it. It's tremendous here. Yeah.
I still have never once stepped foot in DC other than an airport.
Well, while we're talking, jump on AmericanAirlines.com or Expedia or whatever, and let's just remedy that now. We need all the help we can get, which is something we'll talk about today. Um, but it's a fascinating place, and there is never a dull moment. It is not what it was in decades past, in every respect, in terms of political affiliations, political parties, sensitivities, tension, extremes. But it's a great place full of very, very smart, very active and creative people. So yeah, Todd, we gotta fix that one ASAP.
Yeah, I will definitely come out for a visit. So let's start here, Dave. Most of my followers that are watching this are involved in the direct selling space. That some of them are new and just trying to find their way, and then I've got lots of people that are hugely successful, have made a lifelong career in the network marketing direct selling space, and then I've got C-level people that watch me, owners and C-suite folks. So but I do want to start someplace where I think there's a lot of people that are in this channel, and they're like, who's the Direct Selling Association? What is that? So can we just start there? Who exactly, what is the Direct Selling Association?
I love telling the kind of the origin story and then bring it up to date. So DSA was founded in 1910 in New York as a trade group for door-to-door salesmen. So we are over 110 years old. We are the collective voice of visionaries, entrepreneurs, trailblazing women, innovators comprising the most powerful people driven distribution channel in the world. And when you think of an association in the kind of Washington sense, we are the trade group that sits between our ecosystem and federal and state governments and lawmakers and regulators of all stripes. And we can get into this in a more granular way, but the White House, the Federal Trade Commission, the House of Representatives, the Senate, et cetera. And there are supporters, there are detractors in state capitals all over the US, really all over the world. And the World Federation of Direct Selling is kind of one of our sister collaborators. And we have our finger on the pulse of legislation, regulations, rulemakings, et cetera, that could affect the channel. And our mission is to embrace and advance a policy and regulatory environment that puts its arms around innovation and not pushes it away, and protects consumers and empowers entrepreneurs across this country to build businesses on their own terms. There are innumerable associations in DC and elsewhere. Pharmaceutical associations, Sand and Gravel, the Internet Association was one of the big ones from the past. The Cellular Association, American Association of Manufacturers, dozens and dozens of them. They do the same thing that we do. I, though, firmly believe that we are set apart because we are a channel of driven entrepreneurial Americans who have, through grit and determination and force of will and creativity, build their own small, mid-sized, or large businesses. And they've done it completely because of their own drive. And that's different than, I think, the industries that I mentioned. Our channel is completely unique and set apart, which is why going into my 8th month. It is a massive honor and privilege to sit here at DSA and to be charting its course forward. So again, every week, and we'll go more into this, day in and day out, we are interfacing with communications professionals on Capitol Hill, with state senators in various state capitals, with chairmen and chairwomen of federal agencies, all of it.
So having said that, so what role exactly does the DSA play in protecting and advancing this channel that we're all involved in?
It is so, and we partner, Todd. We partner and we run alongside and we learn from other umbrella organizations, other leaders in the channel. Stuart Johnson, I would single out as just someone who has really been integral to my first year at DSA and the education and the convening and the just decades-long leadership that he has provided. So we do this in tandem and in concert with those other great figureheads. We exist to ensure direct selling is respected, trusted, and empowered to thrive. And we do that by combining data and education and ethics and advocacy and messaging and crisis communications and management. And we do that to show policymakers and the media and the public that this is a modern, people-powered business model worth protecting. That has been tested, most recently in the State House in Delaware in Dover. And we can talk about this, where a bill that sought to regulate the channel and to put onerous and burdensome disclosure and record keeping and notice requirements was moving quickly through the Delaware State House. DSA was alerted to it. We mobilized, we lit up the field. We were back and forth to Dover. I testified there. And this is the awareness and the triage and the oversight that we provide. And a state senator in Delaware pointed out that companies outside of DSA's membership are viewed as unregulated because we have a code of conduct that DSA members have to abide by. And she's not wrong, but lawmakers see a clear distinction between businesses that operate under a code and those that don't. And we helped in 2019 launch the Better Business Bureau's National Programs Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council. So that is something that we often reference in terms of impartial monitoring and enforcement and dispute resolution regarding product claims and income representations, including lifestyle claims. And these are disseminated by direct selling companies and their Salesforce members. And that is one of the kind of partner, supporter, champion, cop on a beat role that DSA plays. And it has proven to be extremely important and vital in terms of how, when you have a lawmaker following the just tired old accusations of pyramid scheme, predatory practices, etc., DSA steps in, usually catches this before it turns into a snowball going down a hill or a brush fire, to bring those anecdotes and those origin stories and those testimonials that make policymakers sit back and say, well, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't realize the single mom who, in order to get side income for rent or to take her family out to dinner once a month, became a member of Mary Kay's Field and is abiding by your code of conduct and is doing this for all the right reasons and is uniquely American because of her tenacity and her drive. It makes me proud. I think it makes all of us proud.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I didn't know this thing was going on in Delaware, and I would venture to guess that pretty much anybody who's watching this morning had no idea. So it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's great to have an organization that's looking out for the profession, because it, in fact, my next question is like, what, if what would happen if the DSA did not exist?
Well, I wouldn't have met you, which would have been tragic,
Yeah.
Todd. Let's just start there. I mean, I'd be in a cold and lonely place. But seriously, I mean, and you've become a great new friend. Without DSA, direct selling companies and their sellers would be fighting these battles alone, with no shared data, no unified advocacy, no code of ethics, no protection from the overreach of critics and regulators, and no kind of savvy coordination and the ability to see three chess moves ahead and to understand how those intertwining and intersecting lines of storytelling, narrative building, advocacy, myth busting, etc., all come together. But with DSA, we fight as one. And I stood on Jonathan Gilliam's stage at Social Selling News earlier this year. Jonathan, tremendous guy at SSN. And I said, an attack against one of us is an attack against all of us. And without DSA, the channel would face more regulation, less protection, weaker self-regulation, more enforcement risk, less clarity on educational resources, required that to align us with consumer protection guardrails, which is one of the major themes coming from Democratic lawmakers, and critics would get louder, and that we would have a quieter industry voice, an uncoordinated, quieter industry voice. This is by no means something that we brag about or that we say we're best in class, etc. I think that the DSA team is absolutely tremendous, and we don't rest. But the ability to coordinate is an extremely important and essential thing. And we have done this for years. I have been at associations before this one. I've had senior roles on congressional leadership staffs. I was chief of staff at a regulatory agency. So we know how these pieces fit together. And as you said, with Delaware, we had to mobilize, arrange case studies, put together testimony, sort out industry response and outreach. And it takes the village, Todd, the phrase, it takes a village. And we were happy to kind of arrange it and get the villagers together.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We need to have guardrails, right? I've traveled all over the world speaking, and it's kind of like the wild, wild west in some of these other countries, or maybe the wild, wild east. I'm sure there's rules and regulations in these other markets for sure, but the things that I see people do is pretty crazy. And I'm very, very outspoken about protecting this channel, this model, and I think probably last week I did a live talking about, you guys have got to stop with the lifestyle claims and income claims, that it's a tough game because we have, it's every individual person, right? It's all independent distributors, and many times I think these new reps don't know what they can and can't do. In fact, I know for a fact that, because I've asked people on stages many times, I'm like, how many of you guys have even read your policies and procedures? That's boring legalese, right?
Right.
They sign up. They never even peeked at the policies and procedures, right? And by the way, guys, that's a contractual obligation that you have as an independent distributor between you and the company that you represent. So you should know the rules that you need to abide by in your P&P. So let me ask you this question. What today are the biggest threats that are facing direct selling right now?
There are a number of them, Todd, and I'm going to go to there in a minute, and we'll talk about this in a moment. When you talk about the business opportunity and talking about income potential and what's to be gained, I feel it. And my quick story stems from, and my introduction to the channel. You and I have talked about this. I sold ACN wireline service in college, and I needed to afford college. And there was an upperclassman who was selling ACN wireline service to his fraternity brothers and kids in the dorms. And I got to know him. And I was waiting tables 3 nights a week for all 4 years of college. And I still needed more income. And he said, look, you can chip away at your tuition. You can chip away at your car lease by doing this. And if you work hard, there is the potential for you to just make your life a lot easier and not incur a whole bunch of debt when you graduate. And he didn't misrepresent what he was saying. He didn't misrepresent it. He's correct. And it's exactly what happened. And I worked my butt off and I generated supplemental income that helped me become debt free. So I understand when members of the channel get upset about what they can and cannot say. There are regulations and laws on the books. They are there for the protection of consumers. I think we could all stipulate to that. Are they overbroad? Do they blunt what I could honestly say and others is a true story about what I did to realize supplemental income in a way that really helped me in my month-to-month life? Yes. But we can touch on those in a moment. But it just, it's personal to me because I have lived this. It's not just that I've been at DSA as a CEO for 8 months and I'm brand new to the channel. I've lived and breathed the air. It was years ago, but yeah, I'm one of those case studies. What are the threats? Regulatory overreach, costly lawsuits, negative media narratives that fester and turn into absolutes with younger members of Congress or members of Congress who don't understand the great and glorious things that the channel provides. Negative media narratives that misrepresent who we are, and just don't focus or stress that this is an all-American business model that empowers millions of entrepreneurs. So we have trusted data from many sources. One of them is the Direct Selling Education Foundation. Stewart and Direct Selling News is a tremendous source of incredible up-to-date data. We get numbers from our member companies. We get trends and uptick data and income data, production supply, all of it. The threats are also new administrations that come in and they seek to, and these are almost exclusively Democratic administrations, but Democrats are the proud party of consumer protection. More than capitalism, more than free enterprise, it's consumer protection. And that's always been that way. But there's more flexing, Todd, going on now. There's much more flexing. And I think I gave you the visual that I like to do on this, and I'll go quickly. In Washington, it used to be, if you picture a pendulum, the pendulum used to swing between presidential administrations maybe this much. So let's go all the way back. Jimmy Carter, 1976 was here. Ronald Reagan came in 1980. The policy and political pendulum swung about that far. George H.W. Bush is vice president, succeeds Reagan. It doesn't swing very much at all. Then Bill Clinton wins in 92. It swings back this way. George W. Bush comes in 2000, goes back this way, starts swinging a little bit more. Barack Obama, 2008, swings back this way. Not a huge amount. Barack Obama leaves in 2016. The next election is Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And that's when the pendulum starts to swing like it does today. To here, Trump. Back to here, Biden. Back to here, Trump. Who knows who comes after Donald Trump? If it's a Democrat, I need to stretch more because my hand can't bend any further than this. My point is, political parties have become extremely confrontational, adversarial. They don't work together on anything. They vote party line on everything. They don't get together at 6:30 at night at a pub near Capitol Hill and forget the day and check their stuff at the door. It doesn't happen anymore. You can blame whoever you want for that. You can blame Biden, Trump, Obama, Hillary, it doesn't matter. My point is that the threats that we face now are going to increase. And we have a giant, giant target on our backs for when the next Democratic presidential administration comes in. And I've been told this personally by people who are working for some of the elected officials who will run for president in 4 years, in 3.5 years. My immediate former industry, blockchain and crypto, right there at the top of the list. Direct selling and what they consider to be pyramid and predatory, right there at the top of the list. You could probably go firearms, more and more, right there. When that happens, either in 2028 or 2032 or whenever, that swing is going to be so violent that if we have not laid the groundwork right now, which is what DSA is doing here and across all of the state houses, talking about all of those narrative stories and putting in front of lawmakers some of our greatest emissaries and success stories. If we don't do that now, you cannot play defense in the breach. You can't do it in the moment. It will never be effective. It will never be genuine. And this was problematic during the final year of the Biden White House, when his Federal Trade Commission chairwoman, Lena Khan, in December, as they were heading out the door, threw in notices of proposed rulemakings that had Kamala Harris won, would have moved swiftly through the FTC. They would have put us on our heels. There would have been all manner of new business opportunity and earnings claims rules. But an election happened. Elections have consequences. Future elections will also have consequences. And that is why, when we are looking at 435 members of the House of Representatives, 100 members of the United States Senate, and then innumerable state senators and assemblymen and assemblywomen, this is the long work. This is what we are doing in face-to-face meetings multiple days a week, going in and seeing their staffs, bringing in DSA member companies. We have a giant Capitol Hill, walk the Hill fly-in day in less than a month, when dozens and dozens of DSA member company field members are coming to DC to do exactly that. We need to make sure that we are blunting these threats before they happen. And those FTC proposed rules, combined with state level efforts like the Delaware bill I mentioned and the Private Attorney General Act in California, they threaten to overburden entrepreneurs and companies with requirements that do not reflect how our model actually works. And there has to be a cheerleader on the beat, a defender on the beat, and then also just a street fighter on the beat. And that's what DSA is.
Yeah. And I think the one in California, isn't that where they're trying to reclassify independent distributor to commissioned salesperson or something to that effect?
Yeah, it is an entrepreneurial and proactive and very savvy and strategic plaintiff's law firm is reaching out to members of the field or former members of the field saying, you were owed X, you are due retirement, you are due benefits, et cetera, et cetera. And you should go after your current company or your former company, and you should demand these things. And it's the difference between full-time employee and independent contractor, and the independent contractor laws have been on the books for a very long time, and they encompass the members of our field who are proud to hold those distinctions. And so, yes, that's a very big one right now. That plaintiff's law firm is gaining momentum, and that's very, very problematic to our companies, both large and small.
Wow. If that were to actually happen, what would that mean to independent reps in the state of California?
It would, it would just cause top-down havoc with regard to the viability and the health of our member companies, even ones that aren't headquartered there, that have distributors and consultants there. That would, it would create a giant infighting civil war that the channel has never seen before. And they smell blood in the water. And what we are doing, and this is a weekly thing, is we are meeting with members of the Labor Committee in Sacramento, in the California State Assembly and State Senate. We've gotten to know them. We have a really good dialogue going, the California Federation of Labor, et cetera, to try to amend the Private Attorney General Act to close the ability for those misguided entrepreneurial plaintiffs lawsuits in a way that reflects the current realities of brick and mortar stores versus independent consultants, on and on down the line. So, Todd, it's one of the big things that DSA is in the middle of right now. And I would encourage, and I'll do this at the end of our discussion, for people to reach out to me. And the way that I met you is, you know this, I put my cell phone number out there. You text me, you're going to get a text back. You call me, I'm going to pick up and talk to you. I don't need 7 emails to set up a phone call. Just go right at me and I will be responsive to you. I can't stand, tell me the times you're available this week. Just call or text me. It's going to reach me faster. And I want to meet everyone in your audience right now. And that is it. It really does take us all rowing in the boat in the same direction. So yes, it's these threats, as meritorious as some of the lawmakers are who are proposing them. And the state representative in Delaware, a woman named Melanie Ross Levin, her heart and her intent are in the right place. It is the unintended consequences that we can see from our side that need to be highlighted, and they need to be watchouts. And if you are out to protect consumers, we want to partner with you. I said this in my testimony in Delaware. She had witnesses testify about unspeakable things that they had encountered via bad actors in the channel. They do exist. They exist in every ecosystem. They exist in every industry. They exist in the channel. And we condemn them.
Can you give me some examples of what some of these bad actors were doing? So like the viewer listener can
one of the pieces of testimony, and it's viewable from the hearing is online. An example was given of a woman in the diaper aisle of a supermarket looking for women or men who appeared down on their luck with small children. And this bad actor would approach that shopper and say, you look like you could use some extra income. Why don't you work with me and I'll teach you and train you, and the days of you struggling could be over. I don't know what the exchange was in terms of, was there a monetary commitment or not? Doesn't matter. It is the reliance and misrepresentation and the targeting is something that we don't do. And this was for the enrichment of whoever that bad actor was, but this was all laid out at these hearings. And the state representative has shown an interest in working with DSA to say, look, I don't want to get this wrong. My goal is to protect people who just don't have the awareness to know that they could be taken advantage of. So help us put sensible, non-intrusive guardrails around those bad actors. She has highlighted our code of conduct many times. DSA members are subject to a code, but not everybody is. So how do we go after them? And she, like a lot of other progressive lawmakers, they're not out to damage an industry. They're not out to hurt great companies that are American success stories. They're out to make sure that nobody gets hurt or gamed or screwed over. And there's a fine line, obviously, there. And that's one of the big roles at the beginning, Todd, that you asked. That's one of the roles that DSA plays, is to help navigate that and to help make sure that there is not a landmine in front of us or a ticking time bomb or a poison pill in a certain piece of legislation that is going to put a very big temporary or permanent dent in the channel and the ability for us to do what we do. And compliance and responsibility is a very big thing. It's a very big thing.
Let me ask you a question. How does the grocery store diaper aisle scene differ than me? Let's say I was an active distributor in the field, always looking for talent and to grow the business. And I go dine at a restaurant with my wife, and the waiter or waitress has got an amazing personality. They're on their game. It's just like, wow, this person is super cool. And I'm like, hey, man, look, do you like you got such a bright, amazing personality. Do you keep your options open at all in terms of making money outside of what you're doing here as a waiter or waitress? Would they consider that type of an approach predatory?
The way that you put it, it certainly doesn't sound predatory at all. Now, and when it comes to income claims, the rule of thumb is simple. Don't say it if you can't prove it. So that means talking about big paychecks, quitting your job, living a luxury lifestyle, etc., unless you have substantiated data showing that those results are typical. even testimonials, Todd, like I make $5,000 a month, can be misleading if that's not the average experience. This is this is how the FTC views the world, and this has been the subject of lawsuits and evidence provided in income claims disputes, etc. And on product claims, sellers also need to be careful. You can't, and you know this, and all your listeners know this, you can't promise health cures or miracle results or outcomes that aren't backed by solid scientific evidence. So, for example, suggesting that a supplement can treat depression or cure arthritis without clinical proof, that's a red flag. Saying you have a great personality and I'd love to work with you, no, I don't. I would need to pressure test that against case law and to run it through our compliance channels. But the way that you frame that example, that sounds like two people meeting each other and complimenting each other and possibly looking to talk again. Does that make sense?
Because it's like the term that's been widely used in network marketing for the last as long as I can remember is the 3 foot rule, right? Reach out anybody who's within arm's length of you, say hi and say, hey, look, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm expanding my business. I mean, would you be open to taking a look at something? Which I mean, I think in today's marketplace, our social media driven space that we're in is probably not as widely used or promoted, but I know people that still do it. And if I'm not sitting here making a claim saying, hey, I've got this thing you can do and you can make 10 grand a month in your first month and you can get rich doing it. And last month I made $58,000, which I would never recruit that way anyhow. But just by approaching somebody and saying, hey, I still am challenged with this diaper aisle situation where, maybe if they're hovering in the diaper aisle trying to attack, but if it was, I'm buying diapers, you're buying diapers, and we happen to strike up a conversation, and that conversation leads to, hey, look, whatever,
Correct.
wherever the conversation goes, and I ask some type of pique interest question, I don't see how that could be predatory.
It is, and Todd, also just so totally aligned with you. There are optics that enterprising lawmakers want to grab onto, right? They might already have a preconceived notion that they just don't like the direct selling business model. They will always see us as a predatory pyramid scheme. So any fact pattern also needs to be factored through or filtered through pre-existing beliefs, family history. Did someone in their family lose money or have a bad experience? Constituent feedback. Are they hearing from constituents about bad examples? This particular lawmaker did. That's what one of the motivators for her to write her bill. She was told that those in the channel prey on military spouses, and we really got up front and center to say, if you want, we can mobilize probably 500 military spouses who will tell you about their pride and their happiness and fulfillment in the channel to offset whatever you might have heard. This is all part of the algorithm that DSA uses to push back and to educate on claims like this. What can you say? You talked about that a moment ago. You can talk about flexibility, community, training, personal development, and those aspects of direct selling. When discussing income, you can share accurate averages from income disclosure statements, etc., provided you include clear disclaimers about what's typical. And this is all common sense stuff. Lawmakers grab onto extremes. They're good for publicity. They're good to improve their brand, whatever their brand might be. They're good for a sexy, spicy press release. I'm going after predatory bad actors and I'm going to put a stop to this. And they could gather whomever around them at a press conference to come up with stories that we could either prove or disprove, or who knows if they're ever able to be proven, myths, etc. And that is what I mentioned to you at the beginning. That's the long work. It's whack-a-mole, but it's also just pouring. It's bringing countless cement trucks into Washington and state houses to lay cement over time, little by little, for that cement to harden into the knee-jerk belief rather than the you're bad people belief. And that just, it takes one pagers and graphics and data about success stories. And I am a married white guy who picked up this amazing new pursuit, or it's I'm a single mom who picked up this amazing new pursuit. And here's what it meant for me. This is my own personal story. This isn't what everyone can expect. This is my own personal story. It's like, Todd, what I did at the Blockchain Association before this with crypto. Crypto had the, I mean, by and large, it still is battling this and always will, horrible reputation of being the preferred method of finance for terrorist groups, North Korea, Hamas, etc., or scams to get people to invest in things that weren't insured or backed by the federal government. And we had to flood the zone with stories about crypto democratizing finance, instantaneous cross-border payments. If you wire money to someone, to a relative in Nicaragua or El Salvador, 17% comes off the top. With crypto, it's instantaneous and they have it immediately without that fee. But and then after the collapse of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, that became the most uphill battle in history. But we used real facts, data, testimonials, etc., to push back. Direct selling has been at this a lot longer. Crypto and blockchain is 10 to 15 years old, depending on where you want to mark the beginning. Direct selling has been around since, again, DSA 1910, but we're still dogged by stereotypes and bad optics. That's what DSA exists to push back on.
Yeah, this landmark case that took place in the late 1970s when Amway went to bat for us to legitimize a profession. I think a lot of people are like, oh, cool, we're good, man. But then you've got AGs, you've got the FTC, you've got people. I remember seeing BK Barreca, whose company obviously took a hit several years ago. I actually sat in the court proceedings for that. And I'll never forget him on stage. This is probably a couple of years earlier. I don't know that he invented this phrase. It was just the first time I heard it. It was like, people are oftentimes down on the things that they're not up on. And so I have no question, and I'm sure there are politicians that have power that, they heard something. Oh, I had a friend of a friend who tried one of those. They got burned. They lost money. But they never actually took a deeper dive into fully understanding what the channel is all about. And I understand there are people that do things that are not ethical, that they know better, but yet they still do those things. And the reality is, people do those things in every business model. I don't know that it's fun. It's funny because, like, for example, outsiders will often say, nope, 99% of the people or 97% of the people never make any money in network marketing. And I don't know if that stat is true or not, but I haven't seen the statistical evidence that goes, here's the exact statistics. I mean, even like when you and I were chatting the other day, when I said I dream of a day when an IDS is actually calculated differently, where it actually takes into account people that made some type of an effort, not just somebody who put money down and then went to sleep. Like realtors, for example, people go out and get their license. And I saw a statistic, I'm not going to throw it out, but it's like a high percentage of people that have their real estate license never actually even sell a single home. In fact, it's a majority of people. It's over 50%. It's probably, I don't remember the exact percent. You might know, but it's like 75 to 90% of the people that get a real estate license never do anything. So I realize, having been in this space for as long as I have, that a majority of people that sign up as an independent distributor or rep, they don't put in the effort. And so then if they go complaining to whoever it is, or even if they don't complain, they tell their friend, oh, it didn't work for me, or then that gets passed along. We know how word of mouth travels. Oftentimes negative word of mouth travels even further. It then lands in some politician's lap, and they don't really have any true experience. It's just like hearsay. And then they go, like this lady that you were talking about in Delaware, it was a personal story that she heard. Did she do a full blown evaluation before
Still haven't
like
gotten to
taking that bill?
I'm still hunting to get to the bottom of it because the interest to stamp that out is genuine and it should be for all of us. But to your point, Todd, these things fester from hearsay into presumed facts, and that's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know very successful people today in network marketing that swore up and down I would never touch it. In fact, I interviewed a woman many years ago who's still one of the most successful people in the space. And all she remembers hearing is network marketing bad. And I asked her in the interview, well, had you done network marketing? No. Did you know anybody that did network marketing? No. For some reason, she had this seed planted, which was network marketing. No. And so she blew it off for a long time until somebody finally got her to go to a single meeting. And then she even told me in the interview, she goes, if I could have been kicking myself in my own rear end in that meeting, I would have done it. And then she went on to, and has continued to pursue a very successful career here. So I'm grateful that the DSA exists. I'm super grateful for you. And guys, just so you know, when I was at the ANMP a couple weeks ago, Dave had a video up there and he gave out his cell phone and email. I'm like, what? This is the CEO of the Direct Selling Association. There's his email. I was like sitting there putting it in my phone. And as soon as your video was done, I sent you a long personal text. And within 10 minutes, you responded. So, and that's how we're here today. So I appreciate that.
I take this role.
Let me,
I mean, Todd, this is a really serious role. And to your point, the Congressional Black Caucus, African American members of Congress, is around 60. Congressional Hispanic Caucus, right, is around 55 or so. It's 1/4 of the United States House of Representatives is Black and Hispanic. When I speak to some of those elected officials who are, a lot of them are friends from when I was on staff down there, they'll have a negative connotation about direct selling because someone will tell them they are all fraudsters and scammers to make their own money through unlawful pyramid schemes. And when I go in and I say, well, Direct Selling Association, yes, some of our members are Pampered Chef and Mary Kay, et cetera. These elected officials light up, especially ones who were over 60. Oh my goodness, I was an Amway rep back in Inglewood, California. I did not know that that's who you were. The briefing memo for this meeting didn't point that out. It referenced some horrible, ghastly example of someone getting taken advantage of. I didn't know that you're pick the company. You're a Mary Kay, Senegence, etc. It has to happen through smart and targeted advocacy and storytelling. And Todd, what one of the greatest parts this year was I've traveled to a number of our member companies. I've walked a number of factory floors. I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Very different from over 4 years in the Blockchain Association when it's a lot of ones and zeros and not a lot of product, but an incredible global financial network, but it's not a lot of touching and feeling. DSA, I'm at Regalware, looking at how their unbelievable cookware and Salad Master products come off an assembly line. I'm talking to the workers, all of it. Senegence in Oklahoma, I'm sitting in a room with 400 off the charts, excited, flipping out saleswomen who are brought together because of a company and a pioneering, trailblazing founder, Joni Rogers Conte. And that weekend, and I sat there for 2 days, lip gloss seminars. How do you grow a sales force? I listened to all of it. It's one of the most exciting weekends of their year. They have found a sisterhood and a community with a product they love that makes people look better. These are the stories that I bring back. And you find elected officials in who knows where, in the corners of Congress or in Albany, right? Or in Austin, who say, I use that product. I didn't know that that was direct selling. I've been told terrible things from the people who I said I was doing this meeting, but I didn't know that's who you are. I say it in my sleep. You cannot replace face-to-face. That is the mantra of direct selling. It is also the mantra of smart and defensive and offensive advocacy, which is why we, DSA, exists. You were going to ask something, and I just got excited to jump in.
That's great. what role can leaders play, people that are leading teams of 50, 500, 50,000 in, I guess, I don't know, maintaining a degree of or setting a standard of compliance for their teams to follow or get in line with?
It is, we have tremendous resources at DSA.org. We can walk anyone through them. I just mentioned Senegence. What Joni Rogers Conte did at that Senegence gathering in Oklahoma was on the stage. She had an amazing, amazing woman go through the first 3 steps of how to be DSA compliant because she cared that much that again, the 400 plus women who were in the audience, that they knew right from wrong. So Becky Laudner stood up there, and Becky's incredible. She's got a huge following, and she's just such a positive, amazing person. Senegence had Becky get up there and walk them through the first 3 steps of compliance. There's many more steps, but she said, listen, you got to take this seriously. We don't want it. We don't want a lawsuit. We don't want one against you. We don't want one against Senegence. You got to know what say, where the red lines are, where the third rails are. So take it seriously. We exist to help provide that teaching and those watchouts. So back to your example of me giving out my phone number, I'm going to do it again when we're done. Reach out to me, any of my colleagues at DSA. It's why we're here. It's why we want to be the protective layer between another Neora lawsuit or another proposed rulemaking that is misguided because we just, number one, did not have compliance and defense mechanisms in properly, or people didn't know how to use them and went astray. If you're a bad actor, you're a bad actor. We can't help you. You're going to find a way to enrich yourself unlawfully, or you're going to take advantage of people, whatever. Again, going back to my prior experience, Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, nobody knew it was coming. We condemn it. We did everything we could to partner with law enforcement afterward to bring him to justice. Same is true in any industry. You're going to have bad actors, and the good actors, you and me and our industry leaders and our field representatives, we're going to walk the right line. But there are those who just have it in them to over-rotate on consumer protection and go after industries based on bad data, bad optics, misinterpreted stories, on and on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this, but I recall seeing an owner in and actually I saw another one very recently. This is another one, not like the first one I'm thinking about was probably 5 years ago, rolling down slow motion, the owner in the middle, with 2 other reps side by side, flashing these diamond encrusted watches. You got a Bentley and a McLaren and whatever, like slow motion, their hair blowing in the wind. That was a corporate video. I actually saw another one very recently, and this was a video put out by corporate, and I mean, it's literally jet, limo, luxury, and I'm looking at that without knowing all the intricacies of what's compliant and not. I'm like, that doesn't even look even remotely close to compliant. It tells me like, oh, if I get involved with this, then I can have all of that. And so what I'm afraid of is like these, most people I would say are trying to do a good job. They're trying to put out a good product, create an opportunity for people to go flourish and grow, for end user consumers to get good results off of the product or service that they're using, and everybody wins, and it's a great thing. But occasionally you've got somebody that comes along that doesn't give a damn, and that's going to just railroad through, try to get theirs. They do damage to the space, and then that's the one that these politicians or regulatory agencies look at. And that's why I'm always out saying, guys, look, you need to be compliant. You can't do lifestyle claims. You can't do income claims. Let me ask you a couple final questions, because I've got another Zoom at the top of the hour. Well, first question is, if somebody truly wants to be compliant and do things the right way based on the rules that are in place, not your company's rules, but the rules that are actually in place with the FTC or any other regulatory bodies, so they know that they're doing the right thing. Is there something directly at dsa.org that they can go click on and go, this is what I can and I cannot do?
Yeah, I mean, and leaders, we're all, especially leaders, culture setters, right? So modeling compliant behavior in your own presentations. You just gave an example of a very bad one, and your posts and your conversations, training their teams not just on how to sell, but also on how to share the opportunity responsibly. All of that is incredibly important. In 2024, the FTC published a guidance document, which they titled "Business Guidance Concerning Multi-Level Marketing," and it emphasizes earning claims, etc. We responded to it on DSA.org. We have put up our code of compliance, the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council guidelines. It's all there. The shortest answer, honestly, Todd, reach out to me and reach out to members of our team and let us hold their hands. Let us hold their hands so that there is absolute certainty that they're not going to cross a red line in something they're saying. And people have extremely nuanced questions. Can I rearrange the words of the business opportunity this way? It's almost like a game show. Can I take a word and move it into another, and that stuff gets very nuanced because there are many, many cops on the beat for the right reasons looking for those violations, and they can come down to 3 or 4 words in a sentence that misconstrue the business opportunity or a claim. And we want to, I really hope to hear from as many people as possible because this is as important as it gets.
So having said that, where can people get in touch with you?
Email, I'll say it twice, dgrimaldi@dsa.org. So that's DGRIM as in mother, ALDI.org. dgrimaldi@dsa.org. My phone number, I only have one, 202-380-2203. Again, 202-380-2203. You will hear back from me probably pretty quickly. And I know you can never have enough friends. You can never have enough allies. You can never have enough supporters. This is the DSA is we're here to serve. We're here to partner. We're here to teach all of it. And we do this again in concert with those other tremendous leaders in our field, like Stuart, like Jonathan, like you, like all of those, the biggest companies, the smallest companies, distributors and suppliers. My great friend Colt Passy with Gobi Insights out in Salt Lake City, who's putting together conferences, golf outings, convenings, tutorials. We do a direct talk series at DSA where we do 1-hour webinars with industry leaders to talk about AI, supply chain, growing your field, social media. Just lean in, dive in, reach out to me, and I'll put you all into all of it, and we'll make beautiful music together.
I think that's awesome. And I will have you back again for a deeper dive. So, Dave, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate all the hard work you're doing for our channel. I know everybody who's watching this does as well. It's great to have somebody over in DC that's fighting the good fight for our amazing space. And we want this to continue to flourish and last a lifetime. So thank you again, my friend.
Todd, thank you for having me. I'll be back whenever you want. Really great. Thank you.
I look forward to it. Look forward to it. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we'll see you. I'm going to go pop on another Zoom and we'll see you next time.